Welcome to Brightly, You Radiant Being, the show that recognizes.
Keep going? Or...
You bet we're going to keep going. Hey, we wildly recognize, encourage, and invest in the radiance we all carry.
Damn straight.
So you can shine your brightest. Each episode, we use our good and bad experiences, friendship, and passions to inspire thought-provoking conversation and soul-driven advice. Sorry. Sorry, someone was actually trying to call me. We are going to get through this. We are.
We're not even in a retrograde, Amy.
This season. We are on Friday the 13th, though. Okay, this season we'll travel from the fool's journey to the hero's adventure to better help you create a life worth living and step more brightly into yourself, inch by inch.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Tracy. Oh.
We're back. So for anyone whose first episode this might be, welcome. We'll get it together, but we took a little break, about maybe almost 6 weeks, I feel like, from recording, not from each other, but from producing new content. And before that, we only produced 6 episodes over the summer. And prior to that, we took a break. This is new for us. We were cranking out an episode a week like clockwork with minimal breaks in between. I feel rusty.
Indeed.
I don't know about you.
Well, oh, you don't know about me? Did you not hear the opening? Did you not hear that?
You were distracted. You were.
Yeah, I was distracted. Somebody tried to call me twice. I meant to hang up and I accidentally answered, and then I had to hang up on them. So yes, it's been a minute. And like you said, if this is your first episode, it might be your last.
Well, just stay to the end and then decide. We'll get better.
Yeah. So, it has been a minute, but I think we really wanted to just kind of tie a little bow on how this season started with that line. We'll travel from the fool's journey to the hero's adventure. And we did do many episodes on myth and the hero's adventure and all kinds of cool things like that. However, we took a break, and then, like you said, we did 6 episodes in the summer that were all about woo, and we never really circled back around to the hero's adventure or the fool's journey.
We're ending the journey. We're not ending season 3 early, but we're kind of concluding that chapter.
Yeah, we are. We are
on to different journeys.
Yeah, and so kind of a funny thing happened on the way to my own hero's adventure. It's apparently I keep refusing the call. I don't know. Just like today with this person who kept trying to call me, and I'm like, no, let me hang up on you. No.
Not on the hero's adventure, the call to adventure. You're just like, sorry, got other plans.
Exactly, the call to adventure. I'm like, no.
Check my Outlook. You'll see my openings. Got too many conflicts.
So actually, I think what happened is it's not quite so dramatic as refusing the call as it is forgetting that I was on a call.
Like, is it just like a side effect of keeping your phone on silent all year?
Yeah. Is it a butt dial from the universe? I don't know.
I swear I thought it was spam.
So something triggered in me oh my goodness gracious, something happened that triggered this whole thing for me where I'm like, holy crap, you're refusing the call. You've like refused the call all year.
Did it happen on a Thursday and you were like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life?
Okay, it's so funny that you brought that up. I'm going to circle back around to that, but not quite yet. So I happen to I mean, you and I talk about the yearly compass, not like every episode or anything like that, but we do talk about it quite a bit. And I remember saying, yes, I did it. And it was really cool and I liked it. And so I happened to go into my OneNote and I thought, let me look at this. And I opened it up and then I immediately felt bad
Mm,
because there were all these beautiful words and these things that I wanted to do and how I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up and where I wanted to go. And I had forgotten it. I didn't forget that I did the compass report, but I'd forgotten all these things I was going to do. I mean, I feel like you and I have talked about this before because you and I both tend to write a lot of things down.
we have
And
big
so,
expectations and hopes and
yes,
ideas and forget about life, and that future us has to do this. And there's probably a reason past us hasn't done it. But it shows a positive outlook mentality, right? That we're like, hey, I want to do this, and I'm setting this up for myself this year. But I want to acknowledge, I mean, when I do the yearly compass, I send it to you. I send it to all my friends. I tag them on the show. I hate doing it when I actually do it because I have to come to terms with what I did and didn't do. But you do a
that
great
is
job.
something.
Well, you do a great job of reminding me though of, well, you didn't do what you set out to do, but give yourself credit for everything you've done.
Yeah, I know. But I don't want you to do that to me.
So we won't.
But
Let's sink into like
yeah, sink
that.
into
You
it.
said you opened your OneNote and you got sad. Is that what you said?
No, it was just like I felt bad.
You felt
And
bad.
and I realized, it was just like all these things I hadn't done. And then I pulled myself back and said, okay, it's October. It's not like it's December, 27th or
Yeah.
something, right? So I was in my car the other day and I was just had all these thoughts swirling. And I had a commute back home and I turned on the my this thing, my microphone app on my phone, and I just let loose. I let loose with a rant that it was the rantiest rant and it felt good. However, that's so when you said it's like it was Thursday and you were like, oh my God, it's Thursday. What am I doing with my life? I was like, October is the fucking Thursday of the year. And you're in
Preach.
October, right? And you're going, holy shit, I haven't done anything.
Every time on our Instagram I post those 100 days left of the year, I'm like, everybody hates me. Everybody hates me. I hate myself. But I just realized this, and I imagine other people are going to as well, right? And if you, time is a social construct, but if you have goals, like you said, there's still time so that end of the year you can feel a little bit more like they tried, right? Like it's so nice, these periodic check-ins, whether it's kind of accidental in a way, like what happened with you, or whether you plan to check in on your goals, which is recommended but doesn't always happen, are so that you can readjust and recalibrate. But I have a question before we get into your rant, because you're
Yeah,
not known for
yeah.
ranting, so I definitely want to leave space for that Amy to come through and express herself. But did you feel bad because you didn't accomplish something you said you would, or did you feel bad because you still want to do those things and you forgot about them?
Both. And thank you for asking that question because I thought it was just the first one until you said the second one. Because there were certain ones that I looked at, like, obviously, it's not that I didn't do anything or didn't accomplish anything this year. My goodness, I went to France. My husband and I went to Paris. That is huge. That was an amazing thing, right? But it was the little things more like go to your mom's grave site,
Mm.
walk over this bridge, go to this beautiful place that I didn't do those little things. And so you're right. It was because I still want to do those things.
Yeah, because most of the time, I mean, there is a little bit of shame of like, ugh, can't you just accomplish a simple task, right? Like, can't you
Right?
stay on task? There is that shame there, especially if it's stuff I've shared with others or that carries over year to year. But mostly for me, it's you forgot? Like, this was so important and you flat out forgot. Tracy.
That is how I feel, Tracy. That's how I feel every year when I forget my word of the year. I'm like, how did you forget your word of the year?
And
Like, and
most,
then
oh,
go
go
ahead. Oh,
Jinx.
yeah.
For me, I'm usually able to kind of reflect in those same moments of feeling bad and guilty and shaming or whatever, and also say, if you really wanted to do it, it'd be done, right? So like, what
Mhm.
what did you really want to do? But then there's that other side of me, I'm multidimensional, that you turn the cube, and it's like, but did you waste time instead? Right? Like, why did you avoid it? Were you not prepared? Is there
Mm.
other stuff? Like, so there's the sides that are really positive and affirming and like, oh, you forgot your word because that was your word to carry you into the year. It's going to change and evolve throughout, right? That's why I always like doing a word at the end of the year upon reflecting on it, like what was your actual word of the year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like at the start you're aspirational and then upon reflection you're a little bit more like, "Oh, and this is what it became or this is what it truly was." And then that hopefully
Oh,
helps inform your next aspirational word of the year.
right. Well, I think part of it too is that I write down these things, and potentially you do too, that we write down these things that we want to do or be or accomplish, or just, like freaking go to my mother's grave. I've not been to my mother's grave since she was buried in 2019. Now, there's different reasons for that. However, I really wanted to go this year. And now I can say, Amy, it's perfect. Go on the Day of the Dead. Like, let's be realistic here, right? Bring some wine, pour her a glass of wine. It'll be cool. But I think what happens is I write them down and something in my brain goes, check. That's done, right?
I do that too.
And and so instead of actually writing them down and then saying, all right, what do I need to do? Who do I need to be in order to actually get these on my calendar or to make space for these things in my life? So I don't take that next step.
Well, you just named something though a couple of times, so I'm going to point it out.
Oh, yeah,
So,
what?
you kind of mentioned you feel bad and you get disappointed and why didn't I do this? But you've said a few times, this is what I wanted to be. This is who I wanted to be. And that
Mhm.
is so much different than a task I want to accomplish, right? Like, so often our goals throughout at the start of the year and the word of the year is about this person we want to become, this future us who knows all and is better than I am and has a much easier time at life and had no issues becoming this wonderful thing that doesn't exist. Right?
Right, right.
'Cause
Yes, and I appreciate that. I do. I feel as if what do I feel? Well, in my rant, I did realize that, and we've talked about this before as well, that holding myself to this weird high standard. And part of that aspect of holding myself to this weird high standard sort of not it didn't come from my parents. It came from the story I told myself about what my parents thought of me,
yeah.
or who I should be, right? But then I thought to myself, okay, why do I even like how I may have, sorry, I'm actually just going to read it. I may have these high standards for myself, but I don't follow through. So why the hell do I even have the high standards if repeatedly over and over and over again I don't follow through?
I think this speaks to, we talk a lot about the hero or heroine's adventure being
Mm,
like this plot point in your life.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we're talking about now is like the hero's journey across a lifespan.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
There
true.
and so when you're talking about standards and wanting the story you made up about what you thought your parents or other people wanted you to be, you created these standards for yourself. I just kind of pictured when I set my goals for the year and that aspirational word of the year, and I try and plan my foolish journey throughout a calendar year. Um, I'm looking at the problems I have in my life and the things I want to accomplish. And I'm setting standards for, like these root cause issues that I think exist, right? And what I think of is going to solve the problems or get me to that endpoint. And so I think it's not so much the standards you set, but maybe either the root cause that you're trying to fix or the outcome you're trying to achieve is too big of a leap from where
Oh,
you
from
are.
present me, from that. That seems on brand.
Right? Like, and it's so
And that's that fool's journey, right? That big leap, like just walk right off that cliff, right? Just
well, and like what's that saying? Like you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. And I think
mm.
people who are on this continuous self-improvement, betterment journey don't acknowledge the baby steps, right? And just want that big giant great leap.
It's so funny too, because I am a firm believer in baby steps. Apparently, I'm only a firm believer in baby steps for other people and not for myself. And as my husband is wont to say to me, Amy, sit on the bar stool next to yourself. Like instead of telling, and obviously nobody's
Yeah,
like, we
be your
don't
own
sit on a
bartender, Amy.
we don't sit on a bar stool anymore, but that's because it was very easy. It's always been very easy for me to view someone else's life or challenges or problems and be able to say, oh, have you considered XYZ or blah blah blah, or well, this podcast to be saying, yes, you should do this thing, but then not allowing myself the baby steps.
But where I also get caught up though is we have this map and half of it is this journey of where we've been. Lewis and Clark style, we drew it, right? Like we know our Louisiana purchase line, like we know exactly where we've been and only we can view that map anyways, right? So
Yeah.
we're really going to hold that as like this is truth and we know exactly how many baby steps we've taken to get here and whether or not that feels like enough. But then we have like this, drawing of a map, this rough draft, right? Of like where we want to go and where we think we're going. And we might not be, well aware of how many steps it actually takes, right? Like that conversion of like this equals this many miles, this little like if you're not on YouTube, you can't see what Tracy's doing with her little legend
with her little,
fingers.
with her little
This
pointer
equals
finger
100
and thumb.
kilometers, right? And
Yeah.
like really it's this equals 100 kilometers or
Yeah.
and so I think when it comes to baby steps, like you really want to be an author, and to you have this map of this journey you've taken so far and like how much you've done, but you're not an author yet, so that wasn't enough, right? Instead of acknowledging like this is a massive undertaking, you have quite the journey to go on, and you're so much further along than had you not started.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll take that.
Well, and didn't we? I mean, this is feeling like a flashback episode where we're like, just and in this episode we did blah blah blah. But I think I remember talking about one where I kind of feel like it's not that I'm at a fork in the road necessarily. I'm just at like this perpetual rest stop, just waiting for like
Yes,
to
I
go.
remember that.
That it just
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
time to go yet. But I'm watching all these other people continue up the summit, and I'm just like, nope, I'm reorganizing my pack. I'm waiting for the someone to come up and that to be my person to go up with me, right? Like I feel like I'm
Yeah.
waiting, but I'm watching other people go on, so I feel like I'm behind when really I'm almost there. I'm just taking a break.
And you don't know what breaks they took behind you.
Yes.
That's true.
Like
So,
I have a friend who he just moved, and he's in his 40s, and his mom has turned her basement to like a mother-in-law apartment. It's a separate unit, separate entrance or whatever. He has like 3 or 4 siblings. They've all done it. And so he's like, "Ugh, I'm in my 40s and moving to my mom's basement." And I was like, I'm pretty sure you were in a home that you were renting and that you left so that your newly married sister could live with her husband in. And like when I think of you, like this is a transition for you. You're not a 40-year-old man in his parents' basement, like how the stereotype goes. You're a very accomplished person and you're looking to buy a home, and it's just not the environment for it. Like, just be happy you're housed. I don't know what more to tell you other than it's just a
yeah,
transition. But for him, it feels like such a step back. And I was like, at most, when I look at you from the outside, it seems like a side step, not a step back. And it's one that a lot of people are making, but he
that's
can't see
really,
that.
no, you can't, right? But I love that term, a sidestep instead of a step back. I really like that. I I feel like I'm not at a rest stop. It feels like that and at first I thought, oh, am I just stuck in the cave? Like, is this the
Oh,
cave? But it's not the cave. It's the tests, allies, and enemies. It's just like that. It's just like constant. And I kept being reminded in my rant. Um, I said it reminds me of the junk lady in the labyrinth.
I
Oh,
never
you're the little
watched that.
bunny rabbit. You haven't?
No.
Okay, so Sarah Sarah's baby brother gets stolen by the goblins and the Goblin King. Okay, so Sarah lives in modern times and is just a teenage girl, really pissed at her stepmother and dad. Okay, and she has to babysit her baby brother. And she like makes this wish and she wishes that he was gone, like that they would take him away.
Oh, so like Home Alone. I wished my yeah.
Yes. So the baby gets taken away and now she's like, I gotta find the Goblin King, the castle, and get to my brother.
I gotta
So
find a
she's like,
Goblin King.
she's almost there, right? And it's a fantastic movie. 10 out of 10, Tracy. Um and she thinks she's almost there, and then all of a sudden she wakes up in her bedroom and she's like, oh, was it a dream? And she goes to open the door, and this junk lady with this great big pack on her back with like all these things stuck in it comes in, and she's hunched over and she's like, oh, your little bunny rabbit. You like your little bunny rabbit? Yes, yes, there you go. And she literally gets her off her quest. She makes her forget that she was even on this quest. She makes her forget all these things. So for me, it feels like I've got like all these junk ladies constantly casting down things that are like, oh, here's that TV show you wanted to watch. Remember that? Here's this thing. Here's that thing. Oh, get sucked into this thing here. And don't follow your dreams. Don't go after your goals. Oh, sorry.
I'm so conflicted when it comes to the universe testing us, right?
Yeah.
It's such a human thing to think you're being tested and you have to prove you're worthy, or you have to prove your dedication or something like that. Um because also like for me, like the test right now is just maintaining housing, food, water. That takes
Yeah.
employment, that takes rest, right? And so the
Mm-hmm.
concept of a test, in today's economy just seems cruel. Like, I'm working this hard for a 1 bedroom apartment, kind of cruel, back in the, like when, like I just think back to college, like how many people fit in a little 1 bedroom or whatever, just trying to make ends meet, just to go to college to get a job, which isn't that much better. You think it's going to be, but it's equally as taxing. But at the same time, it is like, oh, but you should have to work for right? Like there's that payoff of the hard work of it.
Right. And just to be clear, I don't think the universe is testing me. I think I'm testing me. I think I'm the enemy.
Oh,
I'm the trials. I'm everything. It's all coming from me. I think it's me. I'm the hi.
I'm the problem. It's me. Hi, Taylor. Hi, Barbie.
But I did kind of come to like I I want to just like circle back to that disappointment. So I was super disappointed in myself, disappointed of not doing that. And in my rant, I was like, I am disappointed and I don't want to feel better. I don't want anyone. I don't want to be like, tomorrow is another day. Yes, it is, but I don't want to feel better because it's like the same thing. It's okay to feel disappointed I think it's okay to feel disappointed in myself if I continually let myself down. So I think I need to reparent myself. This is a reparenting moment now. And I need to ask, like, how committed am I to this disappointment? And how can I help myself be the quester I want to be? Like, how can maybe I wrote reprogram, but maybe it's not reprogram, but how can I help myself?
You're at the point where you have to choose to be the hero. You have to accept you are the hero.
I like that very much, Tracy.
You're like, I don't know. Do you want to do it on air? You want to do it on the opposite? No, I'm sorry. You want to do it right now? You want to make that
Yeah.
proclamation? You want to make that promise? No.
I am the hero.
um, I hate this. um, I too also, it might just be lady hormones, but I wake up and I'm just like, no, I'm just gonna feel bad today. No, I'm just not gonna do stuff today. And I don't know why we do that, regardless of the root cause of it, because you don't feel better and it's not the day is any easier. But like you said, you end up testing your own commitment to where you actually want to be.
I didn't want to toxic positivity myself into
Good.
feeling better about not doing the stuff that I actually wanted to do, right? So it was through that, okay, I just have to not feel better about this, that I finally got to the point where I was like, oh, you need a parent to be like, yeah, you messed up. Now what are you going to do?
Oh,
And
I need a parent to be like, you messed up. Here's your solution.
well, no, I'm actually going to do, I've talked about this before as well with that whole sit on the bar stool next to yourself. I have a
Yeah.
journal where I talk to myself and I answer myself. And for whatever reason, using a different color pen as myself, being like, this, that, the other thing. And then I pick up a different color pen and I'm answering
And you
myself. And
respond.
it's like I can respond as my higher self. I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. It seems to work. And so I'm going to do that. I haven't done it yet. Sorry. I mean, not this go around. So I am going to get that journal and do that. And I believe, and my higher self doesn't always give me the easy answers either. It's like, well, that's fine, but what about this? You still have to do this, What do you got?
Mine is like, you know what you need to do. And I'm like, but I don't. And she's like, but you do. And like it goes back and forth. And I just end up real frustrated and concerned. But she's not wrong. So so I mean, so what did we say in the beginning about the journey? We'll travel from the fool's journey to the hero's adventure.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I always feel like the fool, but as you just, stated multiple times throughout this journey, you have to declare you're the hero. Even if you feel like the fool, you still have to recognize you are the hero of your own
Well,
adventure,
Tracy,
right? Like,
it's such good advice because I feel like if you declare it, you step into it.
I don't
Or at least
wanna.
not, you don't want
Pass.
Well, no, you don't have do. I think it was like, but I feel like I do
Yes. No,
because of all this. Yeah.
well, and I think I shared this when we were kind of doing some of our yearly planning at the end of season 2 and stuff, but I think a huge part of these journeys and discovering where you've maybe disappointed yourself and kind of sitting back and reframing, redrawing the map, redeclaring all this stuff is there's some goals they're just not goals anymore and you have to let them go. And part of letting that go is also letting go of the disappointment, right? Like that's part of parenting is like you said, you messed up, you're done, what's next, right? Like
Mhm.
what's next? Um
The
and
ice
I
cream is on the ground. That's a fact. Now what?
yeah. And I think that's the part that I struggle with is letting go of the things that don't really belong to me anymore to
Yeah.
achieve that just they don't fit. And it's not even like I'm not saying, oh, I'm too old to do this or this opportunity lost, I lost that, but just like they don't fit, right? I don't want them anymore. And like that promise past Tracy made, she didn't keep it. She didn't keep it. So it's one of those things you were a bad friend to yourself. You just have to accept that, apologize if you must, and let it go.
Yeah. I like that. I
So
think
did we cover your rant though? This in terms of a rant, this was real mild, Amy.
well, listen, when I was actually ranting, there were a lot more Effenheimers and at one point I said, let's see if I can find it. I I don't do the shit. I forget about the shit, and then I feel like shit. Like there was a lot of ranting. There was a lot of swearing, a lot of ranting. We touched on the high points. It's yeah. I don't know. Maybe at some point, maybe I'll put it in story or something.
So
Part of the rant.
if we didn't set our goals to like this time bound calendar year trip around the sun, would you
Yeah.
be disappointed with yourself? Would you think you'd still forget? Or does this feel like normal cycles and like maybe we put too much pressure on ourselves?
I think I didn't realize exactly how full this year would feel with that work is much busier than it has been in the past, and that when I get home and I'm going to into the office 3 days a week, and often on the other days that I'm not going in, I'm going to other places, and so then by the time I get home I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, and so I don't think I took that into consideration. But no, I think even if we didn't have this time bound, I'd still be like, you wrote this so long ago and you
Yeah.
haven't done any of these things. So I think I still would feel like that. Getting my cards ready though.
Well, okay, lots to think about. And we are,
There
as
is.
we get closer to the month that doesn't exist in terms of reflection on the prior year, as I keep talking about, December doesn't exist in the world. It's not included in your Spotify musical list. Nobody includes it in like the top movies that came
No,
out.
they
So
don't.
in December, that's kind of our planning month. So end of November, early December, come back if you want to start thinking about your own word of the year, your own reflection on the prior year, stuff like that, because we're going to take all the learnings from this journey, all these reparentings, reflections, all this stuff up until now, and maybe make a better and more achievable, less disappointing plan for the future year. But something we want to revisit moving forward on this show, we used to end every single episode with a tarot pull.
We
And
did.
we stopped for a couple of reasons, one of which being we use Zoom for free and it put a time bounty on us. We used to have as much time in the world as we want. Now we don't. But we did Summer of Woo this year. If you haven't listened and you're into that kind of you're into woo, please go back and listen. But with that, we offered Amy offered a couple of free tarot readings or answers tarot polls to some lucky listeners who got those. And Amy all along has been doing tarot card pulls still on Instagram Reels and even at one point on Facebook Live. So we're going to add a tarot card pull back into the show, but we're not going to talk about it on the show. One, we talk a lot and we're probably not always going to have
Well, I'm going
time,
to show it to you
but we'll
though.
show
And
it.
it,
Yeah, we'll do
and
the
yeah,
pull.
and it actually popped out when I was just shuffling them. It's the Six of
Oh,
Swords.
oh, say it again. I was screaming during it. What is it?
What'd you say?
I was screaming during it. Say the title again.
The Six of Swords.
So if you're not watching, it's the man, woman, and child on a boat with a bunch of swords going upriver or stream of some sort. So Amy will interpret this on our Instagram Reels if you're interested to know how it correlates, how she interprets it for how it correlates to what we just discussed. So even though tarot might not always connect with our topic, we'll do a pull at the end of every episode. And if you like that, you can go to our socials and interact with her there. So with that, if this episode spoke to your soul, please share it with a friend. And if you have time, give us some love on your preferred platform with a rate, review, and subscribe. You can also reach out to us via Instagram and YouTube under The Brightly Podcast or via email at brightlypodcast@gmail.com.
And with that, we hope you have a bright and beautiful day.
And journey.